What's up, everyone? Can you all hear me? This is my first time, so I have no clue what I'm doing. This is harder than I thought, Chad.
Everyone, can you all hear me?
Oh crap. This is way harder than I thought. The delay between my computer screen and me talking is pretty substantial. So yeah, bear with me here because I have no clue what I'm doing. So basically what I wanted to do was do a little giveaway to help Chad, or not Chad, Chad's in the chat, to help Chris, no, not Chris either. I am struggling. I am so sorry. To help Cody, too many C names, Cody and Brandon Dills, who is, they are donating 10% of the proceeds for all of the pink sensors that they sell this month, and it's going to the Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation. But with that being said, they are also entering you for every pink sensor you buy. They're entering you into a raffle for a couple different tools. I know that they have an AutoSim Pro, a Power Probe, and they're giving away one of 3 big prizes. It's either going to be a Snap-on Pass-Through 3, a Escan or Escope. So but yeah, Mike, there is a huge delay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with this. Chad, is there a way to fix this audio since it's so delayed? I'm just waiting for Chad to answer. I know he has the answer. He's the pro at these live streams. Chad, I am using OBS Studio so that I can use my camcorder, and I'm running the audio off the camcorder. But maybe, hold on, let me try something. All right, let's try this now. Is the audio a little better? I changed my audio straight to my laptop, so hopefully this works a little better. Pico, that's funny. That's funny. All right, good. I was getting a little worried that I was going to completely bomb this live stream, just like Cody and Brandon did on their Facebook live stream. So I'm glad it's better now. All right, so back to what I was saying. I was sent this sensor from Cody and Ace, who originally came up with this idea. Ace is a friend of mine, and Ace wanted to do something charitable for breast cancer awareness. So he asked me to do a giveaway just to bring awareness to the charity that Chad and Cody are doing. So I'm giving one of these away. There's a form in the description below. Just fill it out, and it will essentially enter you into a Google form. And I'm going to pick a random number from the Google form to select the winner tonight. So yeah, make sure you fill out that form if you want a chance to win. But the big thing is 10% of the proceeds are going to the Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation. And it also enters you for a chance to win, like I was saying, the Snap-on Pass-Through 3 or the Escan or Escope, depending on the number of sensors they sell. Also, there's a chance to win the AutoSim Pro, which is a sensor simulator that I know about, a power probe, and there was one more. Oh, the breakout box. There's a breakout box as well. So yeah, do you all want to see this case study I had or hear about this case study I had this week? It's a pretty good one. So I had this 1990 Celica towed in, and I was talking to this customer, and this customer talked very fast, almost as if he was on speed. He talked very fast, and he had it. He went to Texas to get it. Now you all need to understand, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so Texas is a far drive. He drove to Texas to get this Celica, 1990s Celica, and he also had a keychain that said Supra, which is funny because when I was in high school, I bought a Celica as well, and I didn't know better, and I thought it was also a Supra, and I called it a Supra all through high school without knowing it was a Celica. But so he had this Celica in Texas that he bought. He was driving back from Texas when the engine blew up, so he decided to replace this engine himself, which was a terrible idea. When he was done, it wouldn't start. He put an engine ECM in it, still wouldn't start. He had it towed to me. And yeah, Chad, he was going much faster than the car. But he had it towed to me, and we found out that he had jumped it backwards and blew a fuse. No big deal. We got it running, barely, but it was running, and it was smoking tremendously. But nothing was bolted in. Literally, the engine was just sitting in this engine compartment. None of the motor mounts were on. This thing was rocking like crazy. It was pretty insane. And after about like 3 or 4 seconds of it actually running, all of a sudden a fluid started coming out of all of these coolant passages. And I say fluid, not coolant, because it was not coolant. It was actually fuel coming out of the coolant passages. Yes, you heard that right. There was fuel coming out of all these coolant passages, and they were spraying from a thermostat housing onto the distributor. To make matters worse, the distributor was cracked. And I panicked. I shut the car off as quickly as I can. Nothing caught on fire. And I had to figure out why there was fuel in his coolant system. So I ended up finding that he routed the fuel return line passage into his coolant thermostat, and his coolant thermostat hose was then going to his fuel return line. So he had coolant in his fuel and fuel in his coolant system. I routed all those lines right, and it started to run a little better, but it still ran like crap, like it was missing on 2 cylinders. So let me switch this screen over, and I'll try to pull up what I did. So we hooked up this sensor from Cody right to the radiator, because I was pretty certain that he damaged the cooling system running fuel through it. I don't know if fuel damages cooling systems. I've never ran into it before, but my assumption is that it does. So I wanted to make sure that his misfires were from the head gasket, which is what I assumed it was. So I hooked up Cody's sensor that he had sent me a few months ago. And this is the waveform that I got. So I synced off a cylinder 1 ignition, the ignition firing event. And that's my blue trace. Now it's covered up by my cursors, but essentially where 0 degree cursor is right here and 720 degree cursor is right here, those are my 2 firing events for cylinder 1. And I divided that up 4 times for cylinder 1, 3, 4, and 2, which is the firing order, 1, 3, 4, and 2. And you can see on cylinder 3 and 2 there's pretty substantial pressure increases when cylinder 3 and 2 are firing, which is, you know, when they're on their compression stroke. So I was able to determine that he had a bad head gasket without really tearing anything apart, which was pretty fun. I told the guy I wasn't fixing his car. There was no way I was fixing this guy's car. But yeah, I told him I wasn't fixing it, not with the bad head gasket. And you all need to understand how much damage he had to this car. Let me see. So yeah, I told him for me, in order to replace the head gasket, who knows what else is damaged, the entire cooling system components, and clean the cooling system, probably drop the tank, clean the fuel out of the tank, the coolant out of the tank. I just told him I couldn't get involved. That it was just too much. I'm off all this week. I have to go down to Baltimore for training down in Glen Burnie, Maryland, for the Supra. I just couldn't get involved with it. Yeah, Pico, it really would have cleaned the cooling system, especially if it ignited, but that cracked distributor somehow was not sparking. After I rerouted all the fuel lines and coolant lines, I started it again, and I put my test light right by the crack in the distributor, and it wasn't sparking out of the distributor somehow. I have no clue how, but this guy, well, maybe me. Maybe I would have been the next Brian Collada video catching a car on fire. But yeah, I did not want to catch this one on fire. Joe, I wasn't handing him a match. I told him I know a guy right across the state. Said, go see Joe's Auto Electric. He handles cases like this every day. Yeah, LS swap. That's about all this thing was worth. Yeah, Mario, training is definitely the way out of this one. And I didn't want to pass that on. I wouldn't have passed that car on to my worst enemy. Oh, man. So, yeah, what have you all been up to? No, Pico, there's no overnighting parts from Japan. Honestly, I don't even know if those parts are available. You know, I have no clue. It's been so long since I've worked on pre-2000 Toyotas that I'm not even sure if the parts are available anymore, especially on a 1990, because he needed far more than just cooling system components and fuel system components. He had vacuum lines cut and routed wrong and missing, all kinds of stuff. It was terrible. It was the worst car, the most hacked car I've ever worked on. Chad, I've never worked on a Cressida. You get all the cool Toyotas, not me. Chris, you said they're available at Rock Auto. I still don't want to do it. I still don't want to do it. This car would never be right. Jason just said He just watched a Scotty Kilmer video. And it's funny because it just came from Texas. It might have came from Scotty's shop. Maybe not. I don't. Maybe I shouldn't say that on YouTube. Maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I seen that, Mario. I seen that. Did you get an answer? Chad, Brandon, and Cody, they were on Facebook trying to do a live stream, and they couldn't get it to link up with each other. Now they made it work. It actually worked out well, but yeah, yeah, I didn't want to struggle like they did. So there's this ongoing joke about Jason Chavez uh, not wearing glasses and he can't see anything. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Jason might have worked on it without his glasses on. Sam, you keep asking about all these engines. I don't know engine codes. I know almost no engine codes. Joe, I would never do that to Paul and Paul's brother. Send that car to him. Not only did I not want to send the car, I didn't want to send the customer. You need to understand that this customer was whacked out of his mind. I mean, the simple fact that he drove to Texas for a 1990 Celica tells you a lot. And his keychain was a super keychain, so there's that too. Yeah, the pink sensors are special, Chad. Yeah, they are. They work extra well, and money goes to a charity. So I have about 11 entries for the pulse sensor. So make sure you're all entering that form. It's just enter your name, nothing more. I don't need your address yet or anything for that matter. Just make sure you fill out the form so that you can have a chance to win. Yeah, Chad. Brandon's here to answer any questions about the sensors that he and Cody are selling. Yeah, they're busy fudging emissions numbers. Did you all see that Facebook meme about Volkswagens in California 2035? How they're just scratching out the uh, the diesel logo and saying electric. That had me dying. John, you just go right in the video description and there's a form to fill out. There's just a link to a Google document form. That's all. Yeah, Bart, same for you. It's right in the video description. Now, if you're on your phone, I think you need to minimize the chat to see the video description to fill out the form, but it should be right there. So is anyone watching the football game? Who's winning? My buddy Nolan said he couldn't watch because of a football game. I felt betrayed. Honestly, Tim, I don't know how much the sensors are, and I don't want to say anything wrong. I think your best bet is to ask Brandon. Brandon's on here, Jarhead Diagnostics. He might be able to answer that. And Cody said message him on Facebook, and he'll be able to let you know. Yeah, Pico. Volkswagen's the only one that got caught. Who knows what they're all doing. These cafe ratings are almost impossible to keep up with. You can only get so much economy out of an engine. And what they're doing honestly is pretty remarkable. I know Toyota just made an engine that is the most efficient engine, or at least that's what they're telling us. It's the most efficient engine ever built. I don't know how much more they can increase the performance while cutting back on emissions. Kevin, what do I think about the Dodge pay to access ECM data? Well, I think I work for Toyota for a reason. And I haven't had to do it yet. I do programming for other makes and models. I'm not a typical dealer tech that only works on one make. But yeah, I think it's kind of BS what they're doing. It's what, up to $120 to program a Dodge right now? Chad, don't tell my wife. She's working right now. She's not going to see this. I also want a 3D printer. And I just got some Valvoline bucks, for selling like Valvoline flushes for the whole year. And I might be buying one. Might be buying a 3D printer. Yeah, Chad, I seen something maybe Massachusetts is updating their right to repair laws. If you tell my wife, you're instantly out of the drawing, Pico Boo, and I know you were the first one there because I wanted to make sure that the Google form works. So you're definitely out if you tell my wife. What's up, Greg? Yeah, Massachusetts is definitely the hub for right to repair. I think they're the only ones who have right to repair for Tesla. I think I read that somewhere. Everyone else is kind of left in the dark with Tesla. Yeah. So what time do you all think I should do this giveaway? Maybe like 9:30? 9:30 I'll do the giveaway. Chris, I was listening to a Carm podcast, Remarkable Results podcast, and they said it's hard to even get Tesla parts. You basically need to own a Tesla to order Tesla parts from Tesla. You can't just walk up to a parts counter and order them. Yeah, Bart, I built a CNC when I was younger, so I know a little bit about 3D CAD just from working around with the 3D printer. So I'm hoping I can remember how it all worked. Chad, 9:30 your time. What are you, 2 hours behind? I don't think I can do a 2 hour live stream. I need to work up to your skill level. Chad, I thought about becoming a Tesla tech a few years ago as well until I found out that they need to work outside a lot of the time. Now, there are techs that work inside, but the majority of them are mobile, and I can't do the temperature swings in Pittsburgh. It's either 100 degrees in the summer or 0 degrees in the winter. We barely have a spring or fall anymore. and I can't do it. I'm not made for either. I don't know how Mario works in Florida. I couldn't do it. And I don't know how a lot of you guys work up north. I couldn't do that either. Yeah, Zach, I heard that too about the length of time it takes to get parts. It's definitely not like a Ford or GM, that's for sure. Yeah, yeah, Joe. I That's what I was using when I had the CNC machine was Fusion 360. Mario, don't you have AC now? I think I seen that. Ah, Greg, I'm glad that the transmission flush worked on that Camry. Greg called me a few days ago asking about a torque converter issue on an older Camry, and I told him that we fixed a lot of them by flushing the fluid and putting in like I think it's called Dr. Shutter or Dr. Tranny. It's basically a friction additive to the transmission fluid, and we fixed quite a few of them doing it that way, which is far cheaper than replacing the torque converter or transmission. What's up, Gary? I'm glad you can make it. Make sure you guys fill out that form in the description. That way you get a chance to win. I'm going to be doing the raffle here for this sensor in about 3 minutes. Dr. Shutter fixed a bunch of F-150s too. Yeah, the stuff works really well. Originally, it was recommended to us by a transmission shop, um, maybe like 5, 6 years ago. Now, a lot of the newer Toyotas, obviously, they have the extended warranty for the torque converter, but all the older ones we've been just doing drain and fills on the transmission and putting Dr. Tranny in. Yeah, Brandon, I like the IM608 too. I haven't gotten a chance to use it a lot, and I don't want to make a video with it without using it a lot. I don't want to, I don't want to make the tool look bad because I'm just not sure how to use it. So I'm going to hold off a little bit on using it. Chad, I fixed a couple of those ECM. There's a couple good YouTube videos on what actually fails on those RAV4 ECMs, and a lot of them are just bad solder joints. I know a guy who actually bought a RAV4 really cheap because the person he bought it from thought it had a bad transmission, and he just resoldered the ECM and fixed it. Yeah, Toyota and shutters. Jonathan, you're a Toyota tech, right? Pretty sure you're also a Toyota tech. I feel like I seen a post from you about a bad exhaust valve, maybe, that you found with a pulse sensor. Is that right? Brandon, I got the APB 112 with my IM608 to do the all keys lost with the key simulator. I can't wait to use that. I can't wait. I've been praying that somebody lost all their keys and brought it into the dealership just so I can use it. Chad, it's the APB. Now, what the APB is a simulator. So I don't know if you've ever done an all keys lost on a Toyota with a smart key, but generally you need an LSID if you're an independent tech. Or if you're a dealer tech, you have to get manager approval. Luckily, I'm set up as a manager where I work, so I can approve myself, but there's still a 16-minute wait time after you start this process. Now, what the IM608 with the APB does is the IM608 essentially grabs data from the immobilizer computer, and it grabs key data, and it puts that key data onto a smart key simulator. So instead of doing an all keys lost situation, you're now doing an add a key situation, which has no wait time. So instead of the 16 minutes it usually takes to do an all keys lost on a Toyota Smart Key, I can do it in like 3 or 4 minutes now from start to finish, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, Brandon, I have started the car with it once before. For some reason, so where I work, I have 3 buildings on my parking lot. Our service building is on one end, then we have a detail building, and then where our service writers and salesmen are in a third building on the opposite end of the lot. For some reason, a tow truck driver towed a car all the way to the other end of the building and needed a key programmed. So I was able to start and drive it all the way across the lot just using the key simulator. Kevin, would I buy a TPMS tool from Autel? I have one, and it's worked well for me. That's what we use. The Toyota TPMS tool kind of sucks, so we ended up getting a cheap, forget which model it is. But it's worked really well for us. Yeah, Bill, I'm sure you don't have to do any waiting, but you got those special clearances. Corey's here. It's all time to leave now, right? Crank, no start, no power to the fuel pump. What controls power to that fuel pump, Zach? I haven't really. I don't think I've looked at any '09 Camrys with fuel pump issues. That's what it is. The TS. Well, I think I have the 508, not the 608, or maybe it's the 408. It's either the 408 or 508. All right, Mario, take it easy, man. Thanks for stopping by. John, is that the you said 2015 RAV4 with the 2GR or 2AR? Is that the one with the burn exhaust valve that you were referring to? All right, I'm going to go do this raffle real quick. Then maybe we'll talk a little more. All right. So we'll switch to screen recording. All right, so there's 42 responses so far. Download this file. All right, so we'll go 1 to 42. Winner is 33. Hey, DIY Dave, I'm pretty sure you won, so oh wait, Brandon's giving one away as well. So hold on, let me generate another name or another number. All right, we'll just do this again. So DIY Dave and 26 is Jonathan Reynoso. I probably hacked your name. I apologize. I'm terrible. I'm horrible. So did you all get that? DIY Dave, just send me an email. My email address, which one should I use? Just email me at pwalter. You know what? I'll add it here. DIY Dave and John Reyneso. Email me. I'm putting my email in the comment section. Just email me your address, and I'll send one to Brandon so that he can send the second one out as well. Yeah, congrats to the winners. I love this thing. These things are built so nice now. I remember when they were being built out of PVC pipe, and they work perfectly fine. But these things have such a nicer feel to them. So. Also, I guess this here is probably a good time to let you all know that I'm in the middle of building a World Pack class. So keep an eye out for that. It's like 99% done. I just have to add a little bit more to the ignition system section. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that. I'll be teaching a World Pack class here soon as well. Bill, you gotta play. I was, Bill. You have to use it, man. I know you're seeing some 2GR FKS issues. Although I haven't been able to use these pulse sensors. So the 2GR FKS engines, they're having valve guide issues, causing air fuel imbalance codes. And the leak is so small that I can't pick it up with a pulse sensor. Now, that being said, I'm sure there are other people like Brandon Steckler, Mario, over at Super Mario Diagnostics. I'm sure they can, but I can't pick it up. The leaks are just too small. Jason, no, it's actually a class on Toyota EVAP systems because I probably get 5 questions a week on Toyota EVAP systems. It's also going to be on ignition systems, the new Toyota D4S system, which I'm hoping is good. I've dug deeper than I've ever dug before on that D4S system. And last but not least, the VVT systems. From VVTi all the way up to the Valvetronic and VVTiW, VVTIE, VVT, or dual VVT. So it's going to be a 4-hour class for now. I'm going to eventually turn it into an 8-hour class. Dave, I'll send that email again. pwalter10@gmail.com. Take it easy, Gara. Michael Mack, you take my class all the time. I talk to you like nightly, and you see every problem car that I have. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I've been keeping it a secret because I've been working hard. The amount of effort I've put into this class, I probably have 300 or 400 hours into making this class. And it's just not perfect yet, so I want to take a little bit more time on it before I release it. Bill, I'll send you the data I have on the D4S system. I stayed late at work one night and I got a ton of waveforms about injectors, when they fire. Because if you all don't know, The D4S system uses port and direct injectors, but they kind of use them at the same time. Unlike, what is it, Ford, who uses port at idle, direct. No. I think Ford actually is backwards, where they use direct injectors at idle and port under high load. Maybe. I might have that backwards, but Toyota uses port and direct injectors at the same time until you're under heavy load, and then they switch to direct injectors only. But I have a couple cool case studies for some D4S failures as well and how to diagnose them. Yeah, John, I had one. I contacted Brandon, and Brandon was able to pick it out. He was even able to point it out to me, and I couldn't. I would have never been able to make the call without actually doing a leak down test on those bad valve guide engines. Yeah, Bill, just send me a message on Facebook Messenger just so I don't forget. And I'll send you all the slides that I have for the D4S system. Corey, yeah, I know. I know that direct injection is inefficient at idle. That's why they need like tumble valves in the intake and everything, which is why I'm pretty sure it stood out to me that Ford was doing it. But like I said, I could have this backwards. I can completely have it backwards. Maybe Ford runs ported idle indirect in high loads, but I thought it was opposite of Toyota. Brandon, no, I haven't seen any D4S rough idle issues. I just know that system is complex and it switches back and forth. During idle, it does a direct injector tip cleaning cycle. So occasionally, you're going to get a change in idle for sure when it's going through that direct injection tip cleaning process. Chad, the Toyota IA Yaris Mazda engine, that P5 engine, is direct injection only, and we've been seeing a plethora of carbon buildup issues with those. Yeah, Joe. I thought that Ford ran ported idle. I thought that they did it stupid, which is typical. Yeah, I was pretty certain that Ford ran ported idle. Or no. I said it backwards. I don't know. Regardless, I know that I don't believe that they run them both at the same time like Toyota does. Yeah, they did come out with a reflash for the Tacomas, but that was for the transmission, wasn't it? Brandon, I don't see too many carbon deposit engines. Now, I've seen a couple Lexuses. Now, Lexus had a D4 system that was direct injection only that had horrible carbon buildup issues. But the D4S system that's running in most of the 3.5 liter, the new engines, basically 2016 newer Tacomas, Highlanders, Siennas, in the 2.5 liter that's running in the new Raffles, Camrys, basically everything that runs the four cylinder. We haven't seen any at all. We haven't seen any carbon buildup issues with those engines. Bill, you've seen a lot of 2GR carbon buildup issues? I haven't seen any, not one. No, Kevin, we don't. All right, so Like I said, we don't see a lot of carbon issues. We used to sell some induction services, but we had a couple catalytic converter failures afterwards. Not me personally. I don't know what the cause was. I don't know if the engine RPM wasn't high enough. But after that, everyone became pretty timid to run these fuel induction services. When we've had the Toyota IA issues with the carbon buildup, we've just been hand scraping on. Seems to be the easiest way for us. I would like a walnut blaster, but we see carbon buildup so rare that we really don't invest in it. Yeah, I just took a class on carbon buildup from WorldPack, and a lot of the carbon buildup issues has to do with poor fuel quality. Said something like there's 140 different blends of fuel that is allowed to be put in the cars, and none of them have like a carbon buildup rating in them. Corey, what is it if it's not fuel quality? Yeah, the street racing kids never have carbon issues. Yeah, the class I just took now, I have no uh, chemistry education whatsoever, but the class I just took was poor fuel. And another reason was the rings and the pistons. He said a lot of the piston rings are causing carbon buildup. Essentially, your blow by is going to pass the rings into your PCV system and back into your intake. Chad, don't put me on the spot. You know how many carbureted engines I've worked on in my life? One, if you include my lawnmower. That's it. Yeah, low tension rings is what I heard as well. Kevin, we don't have BG anymore. We have Valvoline, and they buy us a lot better lunches than BG did. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good night. I'll probably stay on until about 10 o'clock and then I'll jump off. Yeah, congratulations to the winners. I hope you all get use out of these. I actually want to make sure you get use out of them. I want to see them. Bill, I wasn't around for the Tercels, man. I started with Toyota in '07, and I'm above the Rust Belt. So I'd say besides this 1990 Celica that I just worked on, I'm going to say that the oldest Toyota I've worked on previous to that was probably a 97, 98 pickup truck. I know nothing about tuning carburetors. I barely know how to set ignition timing. What's that, Brandon? We might have another item added to the giveaway. Chad, what about? I must have missed what you were referring to. You said the V8 vehicles are having issues in your area right now. What kind of issues are they having? I think I'll pass, Chris. I have zero interest in tuning carburetors. None at all. Zero. I don't even like working on a lawnmower so much. Listen, I hate gas powered lawnmowers so much that I went and bought an electric one. Yeah, Bill, you were around. You were installing AC systems. All of the older techs I've ever worked with used to always tell me how they used to install AC systems during the new car inspections. Oh, John, you just got a 4-channel Pico as well. Do you know James Jeter? James Jeter is a buddy of mine, and he just bought a 4425A about a week ago. He's a Toyota tech as well. Oh, nice, nice. So if you didn't see Brandon's comment, he just said that a gas or an engine analyzer was added to the giveaway as well. So make sure if you did not win one of these, which I've been playing with, tinkering with this entire live stream, make sure if you did not win, you go check out Brandon at Jarheads and Cody at Cody's Auto Diagnostics, and make sure that you buy one of these sensors for an entry to win some of the tools they have. Yeah, Bill, man, that and the 3.0 liter head gaskets I always hear about. I didn't do a head gasket job on one of those 3.0s either. But I hear about them all the time. All the time I hear from techs about how great it was working for Toyota then. I'd pass. I don't like vacuum lines, and I'd probably struggle. I need electrical wires. Yeah, Bill, that he got the 4425A, which has all the automatic detections for the probes that he has. He got a nice little scope. And James is a great guy. He's one of my favorite. He's actually, I was just talking to him about a Camry he has with an immobilizer issue that he figured out. It was going to be a cool case study. I guess I did lie. How I got into cars was my cousin had a 90 Mustang, 91 Mustang, and it was carbureted. So I've installed carburetors on the cars, never tuned them. I like your approach to carb tuning, Chris. Pico, I have the Redline EVAP machine. I don't have the self-contained one. I have the little canister one, not the square blue one. I forget the model number, but what you want to know about it? If I were to buy another smoke machine, I think I look into that Auto that Keith Perkins has. For $300, that thing looks like a steal. Of course you're doing a timing chain on a 9422 RE. Yeah, Kevin, I heard a lot about those 2.0 head gaskets on the Dodge Neons and how guys used to do them. Yeah, my float ball hasn't stuck on the Redline smoke machine either. I don't use it often, and that's kind of what this World Pack class is about: is how to diagnose these Toyota EVAP systems. mostly from the driver's seat. I can pretty much split the systems in half with a scan tool, and I'm able to diagnose at least if it's like a canister side, purge valve side, or a tank filler neck side. So it's kind of rare for me to use a smoke machine. You know, if I find out the fuel tank side is leaking, I know that generally it's going to be a rusted out filler neck, or it's going to be where the fuel pump goes into the fuel tank that's rusted and leaking. But even on the newer key off style where it has a leak detection pump, I still split those systems in half as well. You have to do those manually, uh, just disconnecting a hose from the canister and blocking off both ends, and then you run the test again to see if it passes or fails. But yeah, I probably an hour to an hour and a half of my class is about diagnosing EVAP systems from the driver's seat. Yeah, Brandon, that's how I do it as well. You have to use the graph. Ruben, do I drain the coolant when looking for head gasket problems? And I guess my answer is I only drain it enough where I know that uh, coolant won't get into the sensor. Now, I know certain people say that it's better to drain it, and some people say it's better to have it full of coolant. And I haven't seen much of a difference myself. Uh, but again, there are people far better than this than I am. Just keep that in mind. So Autotech says that um, he drains coolant when doing these. Now this Celica I got this waveform on, it was full of fuel. Didn't have coolant in it. And I'm not kidding you at all. This thing was full of fuel. The entire cooling system was full of fuel. So there's that. I didn't drain the fuel out of the cooling system when I took this waveform. Oh man. Well, Chad, yeah, I don't think a five gas analyzer would have worked on the Celica. With that being said, I used to always use a five gas analyzer. My bay is right next to where our old school emissions machine was, and we used to do tailpipe testing. So it was easy for me to just grab the wand from the emissions machine and just put the wand over the coolant reservoir or the radiator fill cap. I used to use it all the time and it worked, but then the oxygen sensors broke and the equipment became outdated. We got a new one that now plugs into the OBD port. I would like a five gas analyzer, not so much for head gasket issues, but because Toyota has a lot of um, air fuel sensors and oxygen sensors that lie, you know, and a lot of times you can diagnose them pretty easily by seeing if your air fuel sensors read in rich and the oxygen sensors read in lean, or vice versa. But I've had a couple where it was biased, it's stoichiometric. And it was crazy because it would still swing, you'd hit the gas, it would still move, but the car was actually running rich, but the air fuel sensor was reading stoichiometric. So it kind of kicked my butt a little bit, and I wish I had a five gas analyzer so that I could actually see what my exhaust gas was. The problem with those gas analyzers, I looked at a Snap-on 5-gas analyzer, and they're like $2,000 for one. And I don't know, I wanted to look at maybe like a lambda sensor that like race cars, install. And just use that, because all I want to know for the most part is the car running rich or lean. After that, I really don't care. And you can get those a little cheaper. Maybe I'll look into it a little more. And just use a lambda sensor that, people install in their Hondas. I just don't know if they're that accurate, for $100. Obviously, $2,000 for the 5-gas analyzer, you're paying for something besides the name Snap-on, maybe. Yeah, Pico. So that's what I was referring to. They actually the Toyotas set rear oxygen sensor codes when the air-fuel ratio sensor goes bad. They become biased. They'll be biased lean. So a typical Toyota air-fuel ratio sensor, stoichiometric, pretty much at idle is running 3.3 volts. They'll get biased to 3.4 volts, which is lean, so the car will start adding fuel. The problem is the air-fuel sensor never goes back to 3.3 volts. It kind of just hovers there. So the car is still adding and adding and adding fuel, and eventually your oxygen sensor pretty much stays high. It starts to read rich. But that's usually easy to tell. It's pretty much an easy failure because you have a lean reading air-fuel sensor and a rich reading oxygen sensor. One has to be lying. But the ones that bias at stoichiometric, because air-fuel ratio sensors barely move anyhow, it becomes a lot more difficult to diagnose those cars. Chris, there are no shops. Chris, there are no shops close to me that does the 2-speed idle tests anymore. All of the shops that I'm aware of, all of their equipment broke, and we use those machines on 96 and olders, and we just don't see them anymore. Those cars are so rusted out that it wasn't worth keeping them fixed. Yeah, Kevin, something like that. I've seen the portable oxygen sensors or the lambda sensors. I think I might grab one. I think I might grab one just for those situations. How do you fix them, Chris? You're talking about the emissions machine, Chris? I have. We pitched it. Lambda. I like that. I'm gonna start calling it Lambda. I'm gonna make a video calling it Lambda. As soon as I get another biased stoichiometric air fuel ratio sensor, I'll order a Lambda sensor. Chris, I forget what ours were. What they mentioned was wrong with our emissions machine. But like I said, we put it in a dumpster and we got rid of it. Yeah, we went to OIS only. Oh, so it's lambada. Lambada. We got new emissions machines. Pennsylvania made a requirement for us to get new emissions machines, and I hate them. We call it the white screen of death. We'll be in the middle of an emissions test, and the screen will just go white, and it will freeze there for a half hour if you let it. So you constantly, probably every 5, 6 emissions tests, we're shutting down the emissions machine and restarting it. They're a pain. They're such a pain. Hans, being that you work in a Volkswagen shop, you shouldn't be allowed to do emissions testing. I feel like you're breaking laws doing that. Auto repair by Mike. Are you also in Pennsylvania? And there's still a huge delay between me actually talking and whenever you see it. I have YouTube running in the background, so all these pauses is me reading the chat and waiting for me to catch up, basically. No, Chris, I haven't had any stall the car out yet. I forgot you're in PA, so I guess you do a lot of emissions testing too. Do you guys have any problems with your emissions machine, and which one do you have? Yeah, Mike, you get the white screen of death too. We called them like 100 times. Oh, I didn't know who it was. Mike Augustino. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know who you were. So, do you get a lot of white screen of death issues with your emissions machine? No, Kevin, I did not attend a Votech school after high school. I was lucky. I went to a Votech school while I was in high school. I went 11th and 12th grade. I had a really good teacher, one I still talk to pretty regularly, actually. I'm trying to get some apprentices who might be graduating from his class this year. So I attended a Votech school in high school. We went half a day, so I didn't have electives in 11th and 12th grade. So I didn't take like gym or swimming or anything like that. I just went for 3 hours to an automotive program. Mike, I don't know what's with our emissions machine. We called them out probably 5 or 6 times in the past year, begging them to fix this issue. And we have two emissions machines. So we have one on both sides of our shop. And both emissions machines have these white screens. And it happens, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times a day we're restarting these computers. No, I haven't had any problems with the barcode scanner, but I do have an issue with the gas cap analyzer every once in a while. Brandon, they were talking about this is Pennsylvania in a nutshell. They made us buy new emissions machines, all right? So what was it? 2000 sometime like November of 2019 you had to have a new emissions machine. They gave you 3 options to buy from. And then literally weeks later there were plans to get rid of the emissions program. Now they didn't, obviously, but there was bills being passed to get rid of the emissions program weeks after forcing these shops to buy the emissions analyzer. Mike, being a dealership, we get audited heavy, man. We need to cross our T's and dot our I's. We have Sting cars that probably come to us like once a month with something fancy going on. Yeah, we lease ours too. We lease both of ours as well. I think they were like $8,000 to buy them when they came out. That's what we have, the EIS. Pretty sure that's who the emissions machine we have. And when that EIS first came out, it was kind of a pain because our older emissions machine would plug into the OBD port and you were able to get readiness monitor. So if you had a car, you know, maybe it had a check in. Did you all lose me? It said my software disconnected. Brian, I don't know if emissions testing is good or bad. It puts a lot of food on people's tables. You know, Pennsylvania, they do emissions testing and state inspections. They do annual. A lot of techs, you know, they live off state inspections and everything, which is fine. You know, that's kind of what they specialize in. If they got rid of emissions and state inspections in this state, we would probably lose 50% of the techs. Ah, Keith the Fazio's here. Here comes the hard questions. Here comes the hard questions. Mike, I usually do the drive cycle. Now, with that being said, Toyotas are generally easy. You just do the EVAP test through the scan tool. And then I take them on like a 10-mile road test, and they're all set by the time I get back. Chris, I really doubt that they'll get rid of safety inspections. Yeah, you never ask the hard questions. You only ask the hard questions. Any question from Keith, my answer will be, let me go ask Keith and I'll let you know. So, Pennsylvania emissions is funny, Ace, because anything built after 96 is all through the OBD port. All right. So if I see you put in a spacer on your oxygen sensor so that you don't set cat codes, I'm not allowed to fail you for that. No, if your OBD if it's not setting codes, if your readiness monitors are good, there's nothing I can do about it. Which is crazy. Now, pre-96 I was able to, but take it easy, John. I'm glad you won. Yeah, Mike, I'm sure there's a reason they don't allow two monitors. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would skirt some catalytic converter issues if they allow two monitors to not be passed. Yeah, Hans, it's mind-blowing that we aren't allowed to fail for anything obviously visually tampered with. But here's the kicker. If a car comes in for emissions test, you know, a Sting car from the state, and they have something plugged into the cigarette lighter and I don't disconnect it, I fail. I fail for not disconnecting anything from the cigarette lighter. But you're allowed, essentially, spacers on the oxygen sensors. Yeah, Kevin, I'm sure some places. I work right off of a highway, so it's pretty easy for me to get cars to pass the readiness. No, no, Mike. They don't watch us do the test, but they know if things are left. A lot of times they'll leave maybe like the AC on, just dumb stuff like that. I've heard of people getting busted for. Technicians losing their license because they didn't disconnect something from the cigarette lighter. Oh, Hans, that's pretty impressive. We don't have any cameras on ours. Keith, if rust failed, I wouldn't pass a single car. I had to drill out a wheel speed sensor recently on a car that was 2 years old because it was rusted in. Corey, can't BMWs, can't you do a lot of the tests right in the drive, right through a scan tool? No, Chris, it was actually it was on the Mazda with the Toyota logo on it. It was a wheel speed sensor in that. We can't fail rusty brake lines unless they're leaking. Yep. Yeah, like Mike said, they have to be leaking in order for us to fail them. PA inspection laws are kind of crazy just because they're kind of outdated. They really haven't been updated. There's a lot of gray areas. You know, rusty rotors. You know, some people film, some people say you can't. Cracks in windshields. You know, there's all these gray areas in the PA inspection laws that haven't been updated in 20, 30 years. Yeah. Mike, have you been seeing on Facebook all of those people selling those obviously fake inspection stickers for Pennsylvania? Hey, Brandon, we hate rust here too. We just can't escape it. Oh. But Brandon, Keith gets phone calls from all over the place now. Yeah, Mike, we can't catch those guys. Brandon, it does. Rust does kind of suck. It really does, especially when you're flat rate with warranty times, because warranty times are based off some fictitious thing. I have no clue what they're based off of. But you hear a lot of techs down south and down southern like California talking about how many hours they turn. It's like, man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. It takes me a half hour to take a rotor off sometimes. And that includes cars that are still under warranty that are like 3 years old. Now the good thing about rust is I spent probably 10 years of my Toyota career replacing frames. Just replacing frames all the time. No, Brandon, Toyota doesn't add, they don't have add-on opcodes. They got rid of they used to call it Z-Time. They got rid of that a few years ago. They got rid of diagnostic time. Keith, you know what? I would have a Pittsburgh meetup if I knew many people in the Pittsburgh area. The only one I know is Mike Molesky. So, if anyone's in the Pittsburgh area and wants to have a meetup, I'm down. I'll even drag Scanner Danner along. Maybe I can talk him into joining. No, man, Toyota they got rid of all of the extra labor time. Now, there are ways to get diagnostic time nowadays from what I hear, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. They really fight it. But it's kind of part of the gig, you know. If you want to work in a dealership, you know you're dealing with warranty time. With that being said, Toyota takes care of us on other repairs. So at the end of the day, they treat us well. Did I hear anything about the class that was canceled? I heard that Paul Danner himself might be having a class this year. I don't believe Brandon will be there. Now, with that being said, verify that with Paul Danner and verify that with Brandon. I'm just hearing things through the grapevine, so don't take my word for it. So yeah, make sure you talk to them before, taking what I'm saying to heart. But last I heard, Paul Danner was having his own class here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Toyota warranty times are definitely hit or miss. But overall, at the end of the day, what's most important is what you make at the end of the year. I don't really get too caught up in what each individual job pays. I don't even care if I don't get paid diagnostic time, honestly, because I know at the end of the year I make half decent money, and I'm happy with what I make. So if I have to take some losses here and there, it's really not the end of the world. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy fixing cars, obviously. So, yeah, Bill, you definitely need to get a Brandon class down in Texas. Bill, do you know about the meetup that James and Kurt's having in, I guess that's Houston? Keith, you taught a class? Bill, you gotta go to that meetup. Yeah, there's gonna be some really good text there. So if you have any questions, they'll definitely be able to help you with any scope questions or pulse sensor or intake sensor questions. Yeah, it's definitely a Kurt shop. Yeah, Big Brother is always watching. Martino's the man. I need to get to a Chris Martino class. I'm sure it's fun. It is, yeah, it is next Sunday, right? Yeah, it's next Sunday, Bill. It's definitely next Sunday because I was going to fly down. I found out I have more vacation time than I originally thought. So I was going to fly to Texas to hang out with you all, but then I got stuck in the Supra class until Friday. So I probably won't get home until Saturday and won't have time to head to an airport and fly down to Texas. Oh, see you, Hands. Brian, I really wanted to. I was talking to James about going down to Texas, talking about all the barbecue joints because I don't know if Jason is still here. I literally only eat barbecue. Barbecue and pizza, that's it. That's all I eat. And I wanted some Texas barbecue. But the Supra class kind of ruined that for me. I am looking forward to learn about the Supra. That's for sure. Play around with ISTA some. Take it easy, Joe. Bill, I'm going to make it there. I know so many people from Texas that I'm bound and determined. I am bound and determined to make it to Texas. Pico, I've never tried barbecue pizza, but I would. Yeah, Bill, I'm sure that class is pretty good. I know that a lot of it is about doing like pre-collision calibrations on the Supra because they're far different than on a Toyota. I know that's a big part of the class, and using ISTA. I'm just hoping that I'm hoping it is a lot of information because, well, most techs don't know much about ISTA. Most Toyota techs don't know much about ISTA and BMWs. No, Keith, I won't be there. I wanted to be there. I was looking at flights when I got the email about going to a Toyota training event for Toyota, so I'll be in Baltimore instead. But Keith, next time you want to have a meetup, I'll be there. That Staten Island meetup might have been one of the biggest highlights of my career. Seems silly, but it really was. Yeah, I don't want to go to Baltimore either. Trust me, Glen Burnie is not the nicest place. But our training center is beautiful. Our teachers are good. All right, guys. Well, it's 10:30 now. So unless you all have any last questions, I think I'm going to jump off. And I'm probably going to wear out the threads of this pulse sensor because I've been playing with it all night. And everyone, if you did not win this and you do not have a pulse sensor, make sure you head over to Jarhead Diagnostics or Cody's Auto Diagnostics. Like I said, not only get a pulse sensor, you get entered to win some pretty cool tools, and yeah, you help out a charitable cause. Yeah, Keith, I'm Eastern time. Well, all right, fellas, I'm going to sign off. Hope you all enjoyed this.